Hello friends, welcome to State Engineering Service Examination and SSCJ section of Winds of Change. In this video, we will cover so many questions that have a lot of probability to be asked in any of this examination. For any problem, you can mail us at windsofchange2020@gmail.com. You may like this video, comment on this video for any feedback and share this video to your friends if you find it useful. And to download the study material, you can go to the app of Winds of Change that can be available from the Google Play Store, the link of which is also being given in the description box. So let's begin. Welcome to the first video of top 80 questions of railway engineering. In this video, we will cover question number 1 to 30. So without any delay, let's start. The first question, the load on each axle of locomotive is 22 tons. If the coefficient of friction is 0.2, then the hauling capacity due to 3 pairs of driving wheel will be. The options are 26.4 tons, 19.8 tons, 13.2 tons or 6.6 tons. Just think about the formula of the hauling capacity. In the formula of hauling capacity, you will find these three terms, that is load on each axle of the locomotive and coefficient of friction as well as the number of the pairs of driving wheels. Okay, if we multiply these three, then we can obtain the hauling capacity that can be obtained in the case of a locomotive. So it will be calculated by multiplying these three, hauling capacity equal to coefficient of friction into number of pairs of driving wheel into load on each axle of locomotive, that is mu and W. Since mu is 0.2, okay, which is given here, N is 3, that is number of pairs of driving wheels, and load on each axle of locomotive is 22 tons. So total it will become 13.2 tons, which will become the hauling capacity. So option C will be the correct answer. Memorize this formula, it is very important. You can refer to the revision video of railway engineering also, where we have explained all these concepts very clearly. Next question. The shape of transition curve used by the Indian Railway is cubic parabola, spiral, sine curve, or lemniscate or Bernoulli curve. Think about it. The shape of the transition curve used by the Indian Railway, what it will be? It will be cubic parabola. Okay, Indian Railway uses cubic parabola as a shape of transition curve. Can you recall shape of transition curve in case of highway? In case of highways, there was spiral curve that was used, and the cubic parabola was used as a vertical curve in case of valley curve. Okay, so memorize these things, these are very important to keep it in your mind. Okay, and how these curves look, how they differ, it is being given in this graph. Okay, so you can refer to this graph also. Next question, number of dog spikes normally used per rail seat on curved track is 1 on each side, 2 outside and 1 inside, 1 outside and 2 inside, or 2 outside and 2 inside. We are talking about the dog spikes here. Think about it. How many dog spikes are being used per rail seat on curved track? The answer will be option B, that is 2 outside and 1 inside. Okay, how it is? First of all, see these dog spikes, these are being used with wooden sleepers. Okay, they connect the rail to the wooden sleepers. Now one is being used inside and two it is being outside, okay, of the gauge section of a railway. So please memorize it, it is also important where dog spikes are being used and in how many numbers they are being used. Next question, the formation width for a single line meter gauge track in embankment as adopted on Indian Railways is 4.27 meter, 4.88 meter, 5.49 meter or 6.10 meter. We are talking about the formation width for single line meter gauge track. Okay, so for this condition, what will be the formation width? Can you recall it? Okay, memorize it. Answer is option B, that is 4.88 meter, and this is very important to memorize. Minimum width of the embankment. Okay, this first term, this is very important, this first column. For broad gauge track, minimum width of embankment is 610 centimeter. Okay, that is 6.1 meter. For meter gauge track, it is 4.88 meter or 488 centimeter, and for narrow gauge, it is 370 centimeter. So please memorize it, it is very important. Next question. Minimum depth of ballast cushion for broad gauge wooden sleeper of size 275 by 25 by 13 centimeter with 75 centimeter sleeper spacing is 15 centimeter, 20 centimeter, 25 centimeter or 30 centimeter. Think about it. We are talking about the minimum depth of ballast cushion. There is a formula to determine the minimum depth of ballast cushion if you know the sleeper spacing as well as the width of the sleepers. How it will be obtained? Just think about it. It will be obtained by the formula D equal to S minus W upon 2. Okay. From where this formula is being obtained, we have explained about it in the revision video of railway engineering. You can watch it at this channel only, and the link of it also being given in the description box. You can refer there also. In this you can see the depth of ballast section is being explained properly. This S is the sleeper spacing, that is center to center spacing between the sleepers, and this depth D minimum of the ballast cushion can be determined from it, where W is the width of the sleeper. Okay. So putting this formula S minus W by 2, since 75 was the sleeper spacing which was given here and width of the sleeper was 25, you can watch it from here. So 75 minus 25, it is 50, 50 upon 2, it will be 25 centimeter. So the answer will be option C, that is 25 centimeter. Okay. Next question. Pandrol clips. Pandrol clips cannot be used with wooden sleepers, concrete sleepers, CST9 sleepers or steel trough sleepers. So what are Pandrol clips? First of all, you should know that and where they are being used. All this thing is very important. Okay. Now think about it. The answer will be option C, that is CST9 sleepers. We do not use Pandrol clips with CST9 sleepers. These are CST9 sleepers. These are metal sleepers. Okay. And this is the Pandrol clip. You may have seen the Pandrol clip with connection of rail with concrete sleepers. Okay, here you may have seen this kind of Pandrol clips. These are being used with wooden sleepers also. These are being used with steel trough sleepers also, but these were not used with the CST9 sleepers. Okay, next question. Consider the following surveys: reconnaissance survey, preliminary survey, traffic survey, location survey. The correct sequence in which these surveys are conducted before the alignment of the track is finalized is 1324, 1342, 3142 or 3124. Okay, so first of all we should know the sequence of it, then only we can go for the options. What will be the answer? Just think about it. You can pause this video also. In this, first of all, which survey we have to perform? First of all, we will go for the traffic survey from OND data or something, whatever we can find out. We will go for the traffic survey, that how much traffic can flow between the two places in between which we are about to connect by the railway track. Okay, so first of all we will go for the traffic survey. Then we will go for the recce, that is reconnaissance survey. After traffic survey we go for the reconnaissance. After reconnaissance we will perform the preliminary survey and then final detailed or location survey. Okay, so the sequence will be 3, 1, 2 and 4. Which one will be the correct one? 3, 1, 2, 4 is option D. So option D will be the correct answer. Next question. Dog spikes are used for fixing rails to the wooden sleepers, CST9 sleepers, steel trough sleepers or concrete sleepers. Here we are talking about the dog spikes. We have discussed about the Pandrol clips in the question that was previously asked, in which the options were given and in which we cannot use the Pandrol clip that was being asked. In this question it is being asked that dog spikes are being used in. We have already explained the dog spikes in one of the questions. That is being used with wooden sleepers, that is option A will be correct. Okay, these are the dog spikes which are being used with these wooden sleepers. You can see here these are being used to fix the rail to the sleeper. Okay, to keep that in the position and to maintain the gauge. Next question. The steepest gradient permissible on a 2.5 degree curve for broad gauge line having ruling gradient of 1 in 200 is. We know about the ruling gradient in this question. We know about the degree of curve. So we have to find out the steepest gradient that will be permissible. The options are 1 in 250, 1 in 222, 1 in 235 or 1 in 275. So what will be the answer? Think about it. What is the concept being used here? First of all, we know the ruling gradient here, okay, and since there is a curve that is present, so we have to provide some grade compensation here, grade compensation for 2.5 degree curve. So what will be the answer? Just think about it, try to solve it. It will be option A, that is 1 in 250, and how it is obtained, let me explain. Ruling gradient is 1 in 200, that is 0.5%, and grade compensation 0.04% into D. It is 0.0004 D. So multiplying it by degree of curve, that is 2.5, it will become 0.1%. Okay, that is 0.001, that is 0.1%. Okay, now final gradient will be 0.5 minus grade compensation, that is 0.1%. So it will become 0.4%. And what is 0.4% expressed in 1 in 250? Okay, so the answer will be 1 in 250, that is option A will be correct. Okay. Next question. When the rail ends rest on a joint sleeper, the joint is termed as supported rail joint, suspended rail joint, or bridge joint, or base joint. Just think about it. The name itself is enough to justify the answer. It will be a case of supported rail joint, that is option A will be correct. Okay, this is this condition in which the sleeper is being placed below the joint. Okay, so when rail ends rest on a joint sleeper, then the joint is termed as supported rail joint. If it is not being placed on this one, if it must be hanging, then it will be called as suspended rail joint. Okay, next question. The type of the spike used for fixing chairs to bull-headed rails to wooden sleepers is dog spike, rail skew, elastic spike, or round spike. Just think about it. For fixing chairs of bull-headed rails to wooden sleepers, which one we will use? It will be option D, that is round spikes. Round spikes is like pendrol clips. These are being used to fix the chairs of bull-headed rails to wooden sleepers. Okay. Next question. The nominal size of the ballast used for the point and crossing is 25 mm, 40 mm, 50 mm, or 10 mm. So the answer will be option A, that is 25 mm. 25 mm is the nominal size of the ballast that is used for point and crossing. Okay, width of ballast is usually taken as 3.35 meter for single gauge track, and depth of ballast is taken as 20 to 25 centimeter. Okay, next question. Width of ballast section for broad gauge track is, we have already discussed in the previous question, 1.83, 2.23, 3.35 or 4.3 meters. So what it will be? It will be 3.35 meter, that is option C will be correct. We have already discussed it. Okay, 3.35 meter will be the answer. Next question. The limiting value of cant axis for broad gauge is 55 mm, 65 mm, 75 mm or 100 mm. We are talking about the limiting value of cant axis for broad gauge track. Here we are talking about the cant axis, not the cant deficiency. So what its value will be? It will be option C, that is 75 mm. 75 mm is the value of the cant axis that can be provided. Cant axis occurs when a train travels around a curve at a speed lower than the equilibrium speed. Okay, in that case cant axis is being provided, and cant axis should not be more than 75 mm on broad gauge and 65 mm on meter gauge track. Okay. Next question. Number of fish bolts per fish plate is 2, 4, 5 or 6. Think about it. How many fish bolts are provided per fish plate? Fish plate are the one which are used to connect two rail sections at their ends. So number of fish bolt that will be provided will be option B, that is 4. Okay, these are number of fish bolt that have been provided. You can see here, this is the fish plate and these are the fish bolt. These are provided to join these two rails together. Next question. The following tests are conducted on rails: falling weight test, tensile test, hammer test. The compulsory tests are in between these three. Only first and second, second and third, or first and third. Just think about it. The answer will be option B, that is first and second. Falling weight test and tensile test, these two are the compulsory test. Okay, while hammer test is not a compulsory test. Next question. Stretcher bar is provided to permit lateral movement on the tongue rail, to maintain the two tongue rails at exact distance, to ensure exact gaze at the toe of the switch as well as nose of the crossing, to prevent any vertical movement between the wing rail and nose of crossing. Just think about it, the role of the stretcher bar in the point and crossing. It is being provided to maintain the two tongue rails at exact distance. Option B will be the correct answer. Okay, you can see here, these are the stretcher bar that will be provided. They connect these two tongue rails, okay, so that the distance between these two are being maintained. Next question. The limiting value of the cant deficiency for meter gauge route is 40 mm, 50 mm, 75 mm or 100 mm. We are talking about the cant deficiency here. For meter gauge track, the cant deficiency, the maximum value that can be provided will be option B, that is 50 mm. Okay, what is cant deficiency? The equilibrium cant is provided on the basis of equilibrium speed or average speed of the different trains. But this equilibrium cant or super elevation falls short of that required for the high speed trains. This shortage of cant is called as cant deficiency. And the value of the cant deficiency for broad gauge track, it is 7.6 cm, for meter gauge it is 5.1 cm, and for narrow gauge it is 3.8 cm. So memorize it, it is also very important. Okay, next question. Ordinary rails are made of mild steel, cast iron, wrought iron or high carbon steel. Just think about it. Ordinary rails are made up of, answer will be option D, that is high carbon steel. Okay. Next question. 60R rails are mostly used in broad gauge, meter gauge, narrow gauge or none of the above. 60R rails, in which it is being used? Just think about it. Mostly 60R rails are used in meter gauge track. Okay, this is important to memorize. For broad gauge track, the classification are 60 kg per meter or 52 kg per meter, or in R value it is being written as 90R. While for meter gauge it is 75R and 60R. So memorize it, it is very important. Next question. 52 kg rails are mostly used in broad gauge, meter gauge, narrow gauge or both A and B. We have already seen in the previous question. So it is being used in broad gauge track, that is option A will be correct. Okay, we have explained about it in the video, in the revision video of railway engineering also. You can go to this video from the link in the description box, in which we have mentioned 52 kg per meter or 52 mr or 60 kg per meter or 60 mr flat footed rails are used in India. Next question. What will be the curve lead for a 1 in 8.5 turnout taking off from a straight broad gauge track? 28.49 meter, 21.04 meter, 14.24 meter or 7.45 meter. Can you recall the formula of curve lead? The answer will be, on the basis of formula of curve lead, it will become option A, that is 28.49 meter. Okay, and what is the curve lead? Curve lead is the distance between the point of heel divergence to the point of nose of crossing, theoretical nose of crossing. Okay, this distance is called the curve lead. This is the lead curve, and the formula for it is 2 into Gn, where G is the gauge length and N is the number of turnout. Okay, that is 1 in 8.5, so N will be 8.5. So answer will be 2 into 1.676 into 8.5, it will become 28.492. So the option A will be the correct answer. Next question. To ensure exact gauge, the gauge tie plates are provided at toe of the switch, nose of the crossing, both A and B or none of the above. If we have to maintain the exact gauge, the gauge tie plates that will be provided at, think about it, will be provided at option C, that is both A and B, at toe of the switch also, as well as at the nose of the crossing. Okay. Railway tie plates are used in rail construction to support the steel rails and also to take the load of rails and distribute to the load to the sleepers. The railway tie plates increases the bearing area and holds the rail to correct gauge. Okay. Next question. Metal sleepers are superior to wooden sleepers with respect to cost, life, track circuiting or fastening. We are talking about the superiority of metal sleeper with respect to wooden sleeper. So in terms of cost, metal sleepers are costly. So these are not superior. Lifespan will be superior. It is true that obviously metal sleepers can sustain more life than wooden sleepers because wooden sleepers are susceptible to attack of termites, white ants or other organism of that type. In case of track circuiting, wooden sleepers are being preferred rather than metal sleepers because woods are a non-conductor of electricity. While for fastening, for that purpose also wooden sleepers have been preferred because fastening will be easy. So only the answer that will be correct here will be the lifespan. Okay, so option B will be correct. It is being explained in the video of revision of railway engineering about the timber or wooden sleeper as well as the metal sleepers. Okay. Next question. In a broad gauge railway track, the specified rolling gradient is 1 in 250. The horizontal curve of 3 degree on a gradient of 1 in 250 will have the permissible gradient of. We have already seen a question like this in which the rolling gradient was mentioned and the degree of curve was given and the permissible gradient has to be obtained. The options are 1 in 257, 1 in 357, 1 in 457 or 1 in 512. So let's solve it. We already know the concept of it. So first of all, rolling gradient is being written in terms of decimal. So it can be written here. Option B will be the correct answer, and how it is obtained. Rolling gradient is 1 in 250, that is 0.4%, and grade compensation is 0.4% per degree. So it will be 0.4% into 3 degree, it will be 0.12%. So compensated gradient will become 0.4 minus 0.12, that is 0.28%, which is given by 1 in 357.14. So option B will be the correct answer. Okay. Next question. Switch angle is the angle between the gauge face of the stock rail and the tongue rail, the outer face of the stock rail and the tongue rail, the gauge face of the stock rail and the outer face of the tongue rail, or the outer face of the stock rail and gauge face of the tongue rail. Just think about it. What will be the answer? Switch angle. Switch angle is the angle between, answer is option A, that is gauge face of the stock rail and tongue rail. Okay. You can see here, this is the switch angle. This is the stock rail. Gauge face of stock rail will be the inner one. Okay. And this is the tongue rail. So the angle that will be formed in between these two, it is called switch angle. Okay. Next question. The maximum degree of curvature for meter gauge is limited to 10 degree, 16 degree, 30 degree or 40 degree. We are talking about the maximum degree of curvature for meter gauge. So what it will be? It will be option B, that is 16 degree. Okay, maximum degree of curvature for meter gauge is 16 degree. You can obtain it from here. Maximum permissible degree of curve for broad gauge track, it will be 10 on plain track. For meter gauge, it is 16, and for narrow gauge, it is 40 degree. So memorize it, it is also important. Next question. Two important constituents in the composition of the steel used for rail are carbon and silicon, manganese and phosphorus, carbon and manganese, or carbon and sulfur. Obviously carbon will be one of the answer, that is the main component. And what will be the other component? It will be option C, that is carbon and manganese. Important it is, memorize it. Manganese are usually, the percentage of manganese is increased if we are manufacturing tongue rail. Okay. Next question. In a shunting signal, if the red band is inclined at 45 degree, it indicates stop, proceed, proceed cautiously, or none of the above. Just think about it. In case of the shunting signal, if the red band is inclined at 45 degree, it will indicate stop sign in which it is horizontal and proceed slow for shunting. This is given by 45-degree curve. Okay. Next question and last question of this video. Composite sleeper index is the index of hardness and strength, strength and toughness, toughness and wear resistance, or wear resistance and hardness. We are talking about the CSI, that is composite sleeper index. It is being used in case of the wooden sleepers only. It defines the index of hardness and strength, that is option A will be correct. Okay, it is being given here. Composite sleeper index, the minimum value is given by 1455 for bridge sleeper, crossing sleeper 1352 and track sleeper 783. Formula is S plus 10H upon 20, in which S stands for strength index of timber at 12% moisture and H stands for hardness index of timber at 12% moisture. So memorize it. What is composite sleeper index? It is very important. Okay. So here we will finish with the first video of railway engineering. We will come up with next video, question number 31 to 60. Till that, subscribe to this channel, stay updated and download the app of Winds of Change.